We now invite you to join us for part 12 of the conference titled The First Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress held in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on December 6, 2010 with Muhammad Parham Al-Wadi, co-owner of Wild Pita, who discusses how to run a business that supports the local community.
Any other questions? By the way, guys, tomorrow we will be having lunch. Will be sponsored by Wild Pita. There will be breaks and everything, so you will be able to taste the food itself as well. So that's
actually a surprise. It's actually waiting for you outside. So
okay.
right after this, you can taste it.
You mentioned that one of the things that differentiated yourself from the likes of Burger King and McDonald's is the nutritional value of the food. Is that information going to be readily available?
The question was, is the nutritional value of our food going to be available to the public? The answer is yes. At the moment, we cook everything ourselves, so we are aware of exactly what goes into it. And we're very radical about using packets or cans or jars of anything. So even our beans, they're dried beans, we reconstitute it with water overnight, and then we cook it. And again, everything within 2-3 days, that's the shelf life. Yes, we will share every bit of information about our food nutritionally, because we believe in that, and the public must know. And I think a lot of products hide behind that, that unavailability of information, or information that's twisted. It makes you think that it's healthy, but it's actually not. If I'm thinking of a packet of food that says sugar-free, yeah, but what about the fat? What about the sodium? What about, and so forth and so forth. And then when you say sugar-free, so is that aspartame that's in it? So there's so many questions, and educating people, I think, is the key, which is already happening on the internet. As soon as somebody has a question, what do? They go online, they go on Google, and they Google it, which is amazing. So whether we like it or not, this information is going to go public.
That's excellent. There was a question from
over there
as well. Dear delegates, before we go further with the questions, I'd like you to welcome all these beautiful school children who are thinking at such a young age about the healthy choice. Welcome here. Something which it could be of interest to our wonderful school children, but I just want to take that one question because
I'm interested in the carbon footprint of running your business. Do you measure that? Do you report on it? Do you care about that?
The question was whether we measure the carbon footprint of our business. As a small business, there's a lot of things that we want to do. There's a lot of things that we believe in, and where our capabilities allow us, we're trying to achieve that. And I'll be honest and tell you that our number one priority right now is to source regionally. Yes, it helps in the carbon footprint of that product, that vegetable, for example, getting to Dubai. But our number one priority is to support the agricultural industry of the region, of the Middle East. But at the same time, yes, as a second priority, carbon footprint is important to us as well.
Any other question?
I think there was one in the back over there.
You mentioned something about the 4 pillars of your plan. I was interested in the fourth one, to be particular, with how are you going to implement them? The maximum respect to the environment.
I think respecting our environment is so broad, and it's in everything that we do every day, yeah? And some people feel that, when you want to bring about change, it has to be huge change, it has to be great change, but it could be small decisions, little decisions. So that's what we do, we make little decisions on a personal level, yeah? And now that we have a company, we do it on a company level, but we're still a small company. I'll give you an example of on a personal level. A year ago, I decided to stop using my car. So I got rid of my car. So for a year now, I've been using public transport. So I take the bus, I take the metro. If necessary, I take a taxi. I carpool, but only if if absolutely necessary. And because I believed in it. Yeah, and as a result of that, we're quite vocal on Twitter and Facebook. We talk about it. Every time we get to a metro station, how many of you use Foursquare? How many of you are on Twitter? Facebook? Who's on Facebook? All right, awesome. So we talk about our experiences of, well, my experience, a personal experience of using public transport and so forth. And you'll be amazed, people listening to that will start to think, you know what, I've been wanting to do that, why don't I do that? And from one person, it turns into two people, from 2 to 4, and so forth. And we just had an event, not us, but there was an event in this area called TEDx Dubai. And a large percentage of the attendees that went to that event used public transport. And again, it's not just me, it's a community of us on Twitter, a community of us on Facebook that believe in using public transport. And it's infectious. When people see that and listen to that, they may do it as well. Any other questions? I want to ask a question to the students here. How many of you have eaten McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, and those restaurants in the past month? Raise your hand, students. How many of you believe that it tastes really good? Raise your hand. I'm not going to preach to you or anything, I just want to ask a few questions, but how many of you use Google? How many of you use YouTube? Good. What I want you to do is I want you to go to Google and go to YouTube and find out about these restaurants. Don't just look for good things about these restaurants. Really find out about where does their food come from? How do they make their food? What are other people saying about their food? And how good, really, how good is it for you? And there's some amazing videos on YouTube that you'll enjoy. There's another question here.
Yeah, hi. First of all, congratulations on your P12 product. What do you plan to do in terms of being an Emirati for the Emirati schools? We see a lot of Western product kind of restaurants going into a lot of Western schools. I mean, my kids go to a Western educated school, and you find a lot of those kind of corporations or businesses getting in there. Being a local, what do you plan to do for the local people to educate the local children in this regard?
Absolutely. The UAE has a very high obesity rate, and it's alarming how many Emiratis are diabetic at such a young age. Obesity means overweight, very overweight than you should be, more overweight than you should be. And being a diabetic means having issues with consuming sugar, the amount of sugar that you eat. And young Emiratis, and even older Emiratis, are struggling with this because of the food that they eat in some of the restaurants that we talked about, but also food in general, the amount of salt and sugar and oil that goes into them, but also the lack of exercise. Your question was, how are we making Wapid applicable and our principles to Emiratis, but particularly schools? I've noticed that some universities, there are Starbucks at these universities, Emirati universities. I didn't see it before, but I started to see Emiratis drinking more and more Starbucks. You can see it in their hands. These frappuccinos. How many of you guys like frappuccinos? And cappuccinos? How many of you guys drink at Starbucks? And there's nothing wrong with a cup of coffee, but when you look at a frappuccino, it's packed with like creams and flavorings and sugars. It's alarming, the amount of sugar that's in there and unnecessary fat. And then imagine drinking that every single day. So I saw at Emirati universities, a lot of Starbucks start to open up. So what's happening is they're opening up in the universities, getting students to try their products, loving that product, and obviously when they graduate, then they're going to start buying it on the outside as well. When I went to school, at my school, they served us KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, for lunch. So when it was our break time, we went to the cafeteria and we bought French fries, and we bought white bread, and we bought deep fried chicken. So we had deep fried food every day, and for dessert we had deep fried pie. Obviously it's changing, but still, if you look at schools in the UAE, and if you look at the food that's served over there, if they serve food, it's alarming. It's definitely not a balanced meal. You don't see an assortment of vegetables. You don't see proportionate sized meals. So one of the things that we definitely plan to do, and is definitely to address that, to hopefully provide catering services to schools, and to try and open up smaller wild pitas in universities as well.
Now the launch is going to be for the school children. Somebody was saying about the vegetarian shawarma.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a surprise. We have an assortment of vegetarian shawarmas waiting for you outside. So I think it's in the next hall. So I hope you enjoy.
Yes, all the students, not just the students, everybody else as well. Keep enough place for the grand lunch for the others. And we welcome all the students. I'm so thankful to Mohammed and Payman for coming up with the world's first vegetarian and vegan shawarmas. Okay, so big round of applause for this launch today. And it's not just the launch, but you can actually experience it. And that's what this whole Congress is about. What we are talking, we would like you to experience it then and there.
Thank you so much. You were again a wonderful audience. A big hand for yourself as well.
It is not just a way of eating, it is my lifestyle. Veganism brings a healthy and ethical lifestyle for me. Azuyuki Kazuyama, vegan.
Kind-hearted viewers, thank you for your presence today for the first Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress on Words of Wisdom.